episode of Inside the Mind of Miles, which we know at this point in time is perhaps the greatest podcast in the history of mankind. And today we're joined, only elevating our status more and more, by Mike Young, head coach of Virginia Tech. Coach Young, how are you this morning? How's everything down there in Hokieville?
Coach Miles, things in Hokieville are great. A little chilly this morning, but we're all doing well. It's a pleasure to see you and be on with you.
Well, you say it's a little chilly. I grew up in the Dakotas and Minnesota, where my first job was 8 miles north of the Arctic Circle. So I think our versions of chilly are two different things.
Yes, they are. How
are things going at Virginia Tech nowadays? How is your second year of the transition?
Yeah.
After 17 years at Wofford, and we're going to jump around a whole bunch of places, but 17 years at Wofford, now you're at Virginia Tech in the ACC. You go from the Southern Conference, which has kind of been a moving target over the years with affiliation, to the ACC. How's it been for your family, just moving, getting acclimated to maybe paying triple in parking? Tell me about what's different.
You know what, Tim? Not a lot. I grew up here. My mom is still living, doing great. She's 20 minutes away from me. I grew up in Radford, and I was in Spartanburg now for 30 years. I was the head coach there for 17 years. So a little nervous. I guess anytime you take over another job, you've done it several times. Anytime you take over another job, there's some concerns. Not real familiar with those you're going to be working with, but I'm telling you, I came here in April of 19, and never in my wildest dreams, Tim, did I think that this would have gone so well, not in terms of wins and losses. Last year was hard, but in terms of quality of life, in terms of those that I work for, in terms of those that I work with, what we've managed to do with some luck and some pretty good players to be here in January of 21. It's been awesome. I mean, I love this place. League's hard, they're all hard. The Southern's hard. Big Ten's pretty hard. But it's been a great deal of fun, and look forward to what lies ahead.
Coach, I tell you what, folks, I want you to rewind this right now and listen to Mike Young again, and you'll realize how full of shit he is. I mean, we're so lucky, and a couple of things fell our way. And I mean, this man it is this way. This is his genuine nature. But just slice it in half in terms of how lucky he is. Coach, have you had the meeting, the coaches meeting, where you sit down and there's Boeheim and Krzyzewski and old Roy? Yeah. How was that for you?
That was sobering.
They made me get coffee when I got Bo Ryan made me get coffee when I got.
I come in and I'm the speaker, and here are all those guys, and here's me coming from Wofford.
You're the head. You're the speaker.
I'm the head guy, right next to Brazo, our basketball commissioner, and thank goodness he took care of me. But that was my baptism into the league. I had to go in with the other head coaches and our athletic directors and present. That was uncomfortable, Tim. I got to be honest with you. Well,
but that's what makes a man out of you, at age 55, right?
Wow. I thought the coaching would be the easy part after enduring that beating.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: you grew up in what, Radford, Virginia?
Radford.
How many kids in your family? Mom and dad? What's up?
Lost my dad in March, congestive heart failure, right as the virus took off on us. And last time I saw him, we played Clemson at home, our final home game. He was in and out of the hospital last winter, frustrated, wanted to come to games, loved coming to Castle Coliseum where we play and seeing the Hokies play. He got there for that Clemson game. The color guards leaving the floor, and he's over sitting with my wife right across from our bench. And I made eye contact with him and threw up my hand, and and he threw up his hand, and that was the last time I saw him.
Oh, wow.
With the Sunday of the what would have been the finals of the ACC tournament. So that's been hard. I know you have a great relationship with your dad. My dad, I talked to him. So help me goodness, I talked to him after every game throughout my head coaching career. And we might talk for 30 seconds. We might talk for 30 minutes.
Did he coach you up a little bit?
Pardon me?
Did he coach you up a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. He was a former coach, baseball, football guy, middle school principal. So that's been hard. My mom is healthy as all get out. I have a brother in Roanoke, just down the road. He comes to every game. His children come to every game. All that's been a lot of fun, great fun.
So this reminds me, my mom passed away last year at Thanksgiving. So, two Thanksgivings ago. And I'm almost thankful, honestly, because she was an anxious person, and this COVID would have driven her right through the roof. And but my dad's 93, still alive. And in 2013, my dad needed open heart surgery. And I live in the neighborhood of a surgeon, and he actually came. My dad was in the house, and he came in and he looked. Dad brought all his records, did an old doctor home visit, Rick Thompson. So he says, "Sir, you need surgery, or you're going to die." And Dad says, "Well, let's schedule it, this summer." No, we need it now. And this is just, looking at his vitals and all his records. So we schedule, and Dad's convinced. He goes in on like a Monday morning, and we're going to play Illinois on Wednesday. Right. So he goes in on Monday. They do the surgery. The surgeon comes out after several hours. I mean, several. And he says, "This is really a hard surgery." He goes, "There's a lot of plaque. We think everything's okay. But with all that plaque, we're worried about stroke, this, that, and the other thing. He should be awake in 4 or 5 hours. 4 or 5 hours comes, doesn't wake up. Next morning, doesn't wake up. He's out for 4.5 days, just doesn't wake up. He's in a coma, so to speak, or whatever, right? So we have to play. In his eyes, he's going to have surgery and then come to the Illinois game on Wednesday.
Right.
And if not, he's coming to the Northwestern game on Saturday, 2 home games. So he wakes up on Friday and he says, "What time's the game tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, it's an afternoon game, Dad." And first of all, we were just so grateful he woke up, but he woke up sharp, right? He says, "Well, afternoon game, it's Wednesday." I said, "No, we already lost to Illinois." You slept through that one. But I will tell you, there wasn't a worse feeling in my life than walking on that floor with my dad in the ICU and being helpless, especially when he came to me for help. And those are just difficult times, and you still coach through them, and you still, and that's where a lot of, fans don't always understand like how much those things impact you emotionally, how much they impact your whole life, and really how you go about it. And those lessons learned from a dad, there's only very few things in life we only have one of, right? Like a dad and a mom. We have a whole bunch of cars. Some guys go through a whole bunch of wives, but I mean, there's only one mom and dad, and so it's they have such a strong impact on your life.
They do. A regret, it's a regret, but we lost. We played like dogs. We lost to North Carolina in Greensboro. I got home, like, we had a dead period or whatever. We couldn't go on the road. And I'm hearing more and more about the coronavirus and so on. And I said to my wife, I said, I had been a little gray here in the Southwest Virginia for quite a bit of time. I told my wife, I said, I need some sunshine. Let's go to South Carolina. So we head back to South Carolina, see friends. And that weekend is when everything really took off, and Dad sounded bad. And I called him, and I was coming by Radford on my way to Blacksburg, 20 minutes away. And I said, "Hey, listen, man, you gotta hang in there. I can't come by and see you right now as much as I want to. This virus, Dad, I don't know if I've got it. I don't know if you've got it." And he passed away that night. But you're right. they blessed us with one, and I lost dad, and I think about him every day. I mean, every single day. Would give anything. 10 miles, I would give anything to reach over and pick up that phone and call him. I talked to our team about it. I've talked to our team about it a couple of times. Call your mom. Call your mother.
Yep.
She wants to hear from you. She would love to hear from you.
So, yeah, I text my mom and she'd say, Timmy, I just want to hear your voice.
Yes.
Timmy,
yes.
Yeah. I tell you, it was funny because what got me on this was when you said you waved at your dad after the game. My dad finally made our last home game of the year, which was, of course, a month later. He came to our Iowa game, sat in a wheelchair right behind our bench. And there's a great picture in the local newspaper that we had come back from 19 down and made a last second shot to beat Iowa and essentially knocked them out of the NCAA tournament my first year at Nebraska. And we had just made the shot. The scoreboard's just changed and I'm waving, get back, the first thing you score, 2 seconds, you're like, no timeouts, get back.
Right.
And my dad is standing up cheering and he's got a big smile on his face. And so I blew that up and gave it to him for Father's Day and he still got it and stuff like that. So I was really happy, to be able to do that. And those are those special those guys at those games, man, it's easy to find them because you feel them over there. So you went to Emory and
Henry.
Emory and two guys started college in the 1700s, right? Or when was it?
Incoming freshman 82, graduated in 86. I played for a great man. He was a heck of a coach. Passed away several years ago now to cancer. He gave me my first job in 86. Paid me a lot of money, Tim. I was
yeah.
Man, I was good.
I remember you used to overpay those Wofford assistants too.
Yes. Yeah. Those guys, they owe me. $5,000 in 1986, room and board. So I had a meal card and a roof over my head. I think it was a dorm room, if I recall correctly. But Tim, you had the same track. I think that's the track that you're supposed to have.
Well, you have to do everything.
You got to do everything. You start on the bottom. You're making zero money. But I wouldn't make any money, but I always felt like I had enough money to buy a 6-pack of beer and a hot dog. I mean, I had plenty of money.
Hey, we recycled old Milwaukee bottles.
Yes.
In South Dakota.
Old Milwaukee. I haven't had one of those in a long time.
I don't know if they make them anymore.
That's brutal. But I was a Division III walk-on. I was the lowest form of basketball life. I was not very good, but I had an awesome experience, and I loved that school. It's about an hour and a half down the road. I haven't been back very much, but I wouldn't trade it. Tim, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I was there for 2 years, went to Radford University with Oliver Purnell in 88, and then to Wofford as an assistant in 89. And my career took off. I was making $18,000 in 1989. I was killing it.
Load.
Yeah, and one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life, I went out and bought a new car.
Cool.
I'll never make that mistake again. What a dummy.
You see those guys when they get their Pell Grant, and all of a sudden they're wearing something new, and you're like, hey, I've made that mistake.
Yep.
So when I started, I was working for Bob Olson at Northern State in Aberdeen, South Dakota. I was a graduate assistant, and they paid half your tuition, and then they gave you $3,000 for a stipend, right? So the next year, the lead assistant steps away because he gets a better job at the university, and they made me the assistant basketball coach. They asked me, came in, I interviewed. Hey, do you want the job? Yeah, and it was a pay cut. It's $2,500. So I had this big reception, like a build your own sandwich type of thing. They had the one media guy there and the local sports writer and the radio guy, and did a couple interviews. And that's when I told them I wanted to be a Division I coach. I was going to make Notre Dame a basketball school, which is why I took the Nebraska job. I wanted a real challenge. So
you got it.
Yeah, I got it. And I got out of it. So, but when you start like that, I remember making $16,000 and just, my parents would help me out with a little rent or whatever it might be. And like when I was doing it, coach, and we cut our scouting tapes, we went VHS deck to VHS. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Play, pause,
Yes.
And boy, the damnedest thing would be to not like to think you hit pause and keep recording. I mean, it ruins everything.
Oh,
now you've got to go back 10 possessions, find out when the guy drove left, and I mean, that was these guys on these computers now snapping around, all these guys. I was like, go back and do deck to deck VHS.
How about this one? How about tomorrow at 2:00? I want you to drive 6 hours, all right, and pick up that game from that school, and drive it back.
Drive it here
all right, and then you FedEx it back. Remember the FedEx bills, the FedEx bills?
They would kill you on a FedEx.
Kill you.
I mean, there's a reason the Redskins have the biggest plane, or the football club, or whatever. I mean, man, those guys were killing us. Yeah, drive to get the film, and then when you FedEx it back, I mean, it was like you got in trouble, but you didn't want to drive 6 more hours. I mean, it was like,
remember the routing. All right, we're sending it to Nebraska. Nebraska makes a copy of it, and they're sending it here.
Yeah,
this VHS tape is going all over the place, and people are losing it. Remember how, upset, and justifiably so. People were really mad if they didn't get their film on time. Of course, the assistant's getting blasted because they don't have the tape, and the head coach wants to see the tape. Man, have we come a long way.
When I became I think it was a Division II coach at Southwest Minnesota State. This would have been about the time I met you, I'm guessing, because you were recruiting Minnesota.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so they had a film exchange, but you could do it online where you could download it from the computer. And I thought that was just the damnedest thing. I couldn't fathom how you could do that. I still couldn't. I'm like, I don't trust it. We're not doing it. We're going to do it the way we've done it, which is we're going to yell at Morris if we don't, Minnesota Morris, if we don't get the tape on time. But, oh yeah, those were great times. So Coach, you start out and you're with Oliver Purnell for how many years?
Yeah, for 1 year. I was with Oliver for 1 year. I was a GA, and did my graduate work. I was a couple classes short. I hated being a GA. I hated being in the office. I hated it. I wanted to be out seeing kids. So I went to Wofford as a Division II, and got that job, and I was there for 13 years as an assistant to Richard Johnson.
How long were you Division II?
4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 years.
And they were going Division I?
No. We were Division II. We were good. We had good Division II teams, and our athletic director at the time was a genius move. But when it happened, Tim, we don't have any money. And we go Division I as an independent.
Oh, I was Division 3 years at North Dakota State.
And, trying to put a schedule together, no league, finding games in January, February, really hard. It was, we were 4-24, I think. Still working for Richard. Richard's a heck of a coach, a really good coach. And, but they hung in there with us, as well as I do. A lot of times in those transitions from 2 to 1, guys don't make it because you're going to be so bad. And, we hung in there and kept plugging away at it. And, we had great success, later on.
Well, and you certainly did. I mean, you were 30-5 or 30-3. Yeah.
30-5.
One of your second to last year, your last year, I forget what it was. How have you changed as a coach when so you're a Division II guy, and then you're in the Southern Conference, which now let's face it, Davison was in the Southern.
Yes. College of Charleston, Appalachian State, Georgia Southern, Heck of a league. I mean, a great league, great coaches, John Kress, Bob McKillop.
Oh.
I mean, you could go on and on. Larry Hunter at Western Carolina was one of the best coaches I've ever been around.
Yeah, so I was talking to, I'm like, what happened on those mid leagues? I was like, what happened? Well, I had Fran McCaffrey on, and when he played in the ACC, there were 7 teams in the ACC.
Yes.
And now you have what, 15, 16?
15.
15.
15. 15 schools, 10 states.
Oh, shit. So that's what happens, right? So then those schools go, the Big East becomes whatever. And now, the A-10 gobbles up, the Davidsons of the world.
Yep.
When we were in the West, in the Mountain West, there was Utah that goes to the Pac-12, TCU goes to the Big 12, and BYU became an independent, all these, and you look at these leagues and how powerful they were. And boy, I tell you what, that'll catch your teeth a little bit for you. So how have you changed, Coach? You've been through the whole metamorphosis and how have you changed as a coach, playing style? What have you had to do to find the success to win 30 games and go to the NCAA tournament and just, battle everybody right to the
Tim, I'm not sure how I've changed. I go back as a head coach, Davidson College of Charleston, we're never going to be as athletic as some of these people. We're never going to be this. We're never going to be that.
John Kress can press you out of the gym.
Oh my gosh. Maybe, Tim, as good a coach as I've competed against. The year I got the job in 2002, the head coaching job at Wofford, Coach announced his retirement. And our athletic director asked me, insisted that I go down and meet him. And I knew Coach some, but he became a mentor. Haven't talked to him in a while, but he's as good a coach. He's as good a coach as I've ever. I'll call him, and it goes to voicemail, and his voicemail's full. His former assistants swear he has no idea how to retrieve voicemails. But we could be as skilled guys that can catch and pass and shoot. Smart. And I was once all motion. That's all we did. And probably 12 years ago, we started running more stuff, and we just tinker and play with it and all man to man. I haven't played a possession zone. The last possession zone I played was probably 6 years ago, and I
probably gave up a 3.
I jokingly referred to it with my staff as the made 3 zone, because as soon as we went zone, that is a made 3 coming, mark it down. You could bank on it. We've had good players, Tim, let's be honest. We've had really, really good players. I've got really good players here right now. And I'm having a lot of fun.
Well, you make 3s, Coach.
We do that.
And,
we do that.
As I remember, I've told this story a few times. I don't know what year it was, but we ended up 4th in the 13-5 in the Big Ten. And Michigan State won the Big Ten. And really our numbers were very comparable to Michigan State, except for 2 numbers. They made 4 more threes a game than we did at 41%. And we were down there about 34. So their offensive efficiency, way up, better than ours. We were probably a top 50 to 70 team, and they were a top 15 to 25 team. Yeah. And when you just looked at it, your ability to defend, we could defend the 3, but we just weren't making them. And it really occurred to me, I was just watching Utah State and Colorado State, our good friend Nico Medved, who you know very well.
Craig Smith,
of course, who was
what a staff that was.
Pretty solid
Holy
staff.
cow. Holy cow. You got all the pats on the back. Those guys, you talking about.
They did all the work. And I just sat there and said, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Let them go, boys. So, but Nico gave up some 3s in the half court. And that's really what beat him, and it's tough, but you've done a very good job getting those skilled kids pass. And I always say, I remember Bo Ryan, pass, catch, pivot. It's amazing. They call the game basketball, come up with the ball. Get guys that can come up with the ball, right?
Yeah. We have a segment in our practice every day, the daily vitamins. It's all fundamental, pivoting, passing with your left hand, passing with your right hand. We're going to do it every day. I mean, it's like a shell for us. Every single day, there's going to be stopping and starting. The guys are, that's just what we do.
It's still remarkable to me when a kid doesn't know the difference between a front pivot and a reverse pivot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, come on now.
I mean, I have to demonstrate sometimes. Jump stop, right foot, rear pivot. But
if I say right, it's that leg.
Yes,
that
one right there. You can pick your left one up, all right, but your right foot is your pivot foot.
Yeah.
I mean, those little things, I think that's spot throw in. I can move this foot. I can't move. I've got a pivot foot. Just little things.
Was your college coach so I was like, I played guard on my college team, NAIA team, right? Guard the water. Okay. So way at the end of the bench. And so after 3 years, I got so sick and tired of second guessing him at the end of the bench. I became a student coach so I could sit right next to him and second guess him. Right. And that's why I wasn't an assistant coach for long, but we did start, stops, and turns. I forget what we called it every day, bounce pass, one hand, left hand only pass, dribble pickups, right? Dribble pickup, all that stuff. And I remember thinking like, well, that was dribble pickup was a hot dog move. And he's like, no, it's not, and just learning just that the recipe I imagine your recipe hasn't changed from Wofford but the ingredients now have to change a little bit, but you still have to have the same level of skill, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Has that been hard for you or found that challenging? No problem.
Not really. The bodies are bigger, but it still comes back to taking care of it and guarding a little bit and rebounding the ball. And this team this year at Virginia Tech does that pretty good. We're doing all of those things pretty well, and I think we're getting better. I played for a unbelievable coach in the 1981-82 Fletcher era at Fort Union Military Academy. He sent, so many guys on to college, a number of them to Virginia Tech. He sent them all over the place. And he knew I wanted to coach, and he would bring me up front in 16-passenger van where the big guys sat, a little more leg room, but he would bring me up there. I think he brought me up there to keep him awake. He would bring me up, and he knew I wanted to coach, and he would just run stuff by me all the time. Talking about calling timeout when, subs are in, they go on a 4-0 run. You got to call timeout and get your people back in. But I can remember vividly Tim driving through the dark Virginia night once upon a time, and he's talking about players and skill. He said, Division III, Division II, those guys are really skilled people. The difference as you go up the line is not the skill, it's the bodies. The guys are just so much bigger and stronger. But we're still recruiting the same kind of guy here, guys that shoot the basketball. I don't think I shouldn't say that there's no substitute, but I want guys who can shoot it. And I can put a couple of lineups on the floor with 5 guys that can shoot it. And I think as well as I do.
That's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure, man. That's a lot of angst with that opposing coach and how they're going to guard it.
Yeah, I remember one time out, those 5, I always call them 5-out teams. Let's say John Beeline from Michigan had some groups out there, and one of my assistants like, we need to do this, we need to double this, or we need to, and I'm like, hey, you can come up with all the options you want, none of them are any good.
Yeah.
The outcome is going to be the outcome. They're going to make us pay if we miss on anything. Yep. And that's interesting. Coach, when you were driving 6 hours to deliver tape, and you're head coach, how'd you stay awake?
I can't share that. I can't share that with you. It was nothing illegal.
Okay,
but we developed some poor habits.
Some guys chew tobacco. Some guys,
get out of the car. Remember getting out of the car with a cup of coffee and walking around the car.
Walk around the car.
And those grooves in the side of the road where you maybe doze off a little bit. Man, it's some scary stuff, but we had something on our shoulder looking out,
Oh
looking
yeah.
out for us.
I
I took a
drove.
lot of walks. I took a lot of walks
Oh
on the
no.
side of the Interstate 81, here in Virginia. Remember getting out of the car to make a couple of calls at the payphone?
Yeah.
7,
Yeah.
7-Eleven payphone, the convenience store. You
I
know,
called.
I mean, and we did all that stuff.
I called my wife from a payphone when I took the Mayville job and told her I think I lost my mind. What am I doing here? Um, I had a friend one time. We were coming back from Wilmer, Minnesota, back to Aberdeen, and the snow was so bad that I opened my door to catch the. I'm just driving to see the yellow line, and he opened his door so he could see the white line, and we just hoped nobody was stopped in front of us. And we did that for a few miles. And folks, when you're driving 10 miles an hour, a few miles is a long time. But one of my players, Sean Gabbard, his dad was a cross-country truck driver. And he said to stay awake, here's what you do. You buy a bag of sunflower seeds,
Yeah.
2 cups, pour the seeds in 1 cup, leave the other cup empty, and eat them one at a time. It activates your jaw, keeps you awake, right? And you don't get all the salt, built up where you got the salt burn going on the next day. So for all of you that have to drive or late at night, sunflower seeds one at a time. And it's never let me down. But of course I didn't learn that till I became a Division I coach and it was time to fly everywhere and do stuff like that. Little late. So coach, tell me, as you've gone through coaching and you really, you've got your recipe. You are going to make threes. You're going to make threes. Your teams, if you just look at your ability to make threes, it really, electrifies your offense, takes it to another level. And of course, that puts a lot of pressure on teams as you go. And you've developed that, and you've developed assistant coaches. How many assistant coaches do you have as head coaches right now?
I have 5. I'm proud of that, Tim. And I've got a couple on, Jimmy Allen, West Point, Mark Prosser, Western Carolina, Jay McCauley took over for me
I had both those guys last year in TV games.
Mike Boynton, Oklahoma State. Golly day.
You got one more.
I got one more. I'll think of it in a minute. Pardon me?
App State.
Dustin Kearns, Appalachian State. As good as I've ever been around. You talking about a terrific person and terrific coach. Dustin Kearns is that guy. They all are. I've got a couple on this staff here at Virginia Tech that are going to be head coaches, going to be really good head coaches. Well,
I always like to talk about those guys that, oftentimes people don't realize. We had a game one time in Fargo when I was at NDSU. And of course I was there as the head coach, and Bob Huggins was the head coach at Kansas State, and they came to NDSU to play. And on his staff was Brad Underwood, Frank Martin.
Yeah.
Right. And somebody else who's at Austin P right
now. Figure.
Yep.
Matt Figure. Was Ron Everhart on that staff? Ron went on.
No, he was not on that staff. He was still at Duquesne, I think, and then ended up with Bob at West Virginia. And then our staff was Saul Phillips, who eventually took over for me at NDSU, then Ohio. Now he's at my alma mater, Northern State, where he's top 10 in the country, D2. And David Richmond, who's now the head coach at NDSU. Dave was with us 5 years, I think. And I think that that's it for head coaches, but 6 head coaches right there, in one game. And, Frank's a bruiser at South Carolina, of course, right down the way. And Brad's doing a great job, but it's fun to watch those staffs, and it's fun to watch those guys go on and have success.
Yeah.
I really end up, I'll watch ESPN Plus some nights, and it's amazing when you don't have your own team to watch, how you find, those curiosities to watch and go from there.
Sure.
Coach, tell me this, greatest heartache as a coach.
Losing, Tim, it's awful. People ask me, all the time, how much longer you want to do it. I absolutely love it now. You do.
Oh yeah.
Love it. We love it.
Yep.
But the losses take a chunk out of you that it's hard to bounce back. That's the greatest heartache. That's the greatest heartache for me. That and a kid gets hurt and loses, loses his year. That bothers me. Those are the two things that come to mind.
People used to, because you became a head coach at what age?
I was 38.
Okay. So I became a head coach at 28. So I didn't spend long as an assistant. And so people are like, who are your mentors? And my head coach got out of coaching after 5 years. And I was kind of moving up. So, you think of all the different conferences, like I had 5 different head coaching jobs. And for instance, let's just say NAI, Division II, Division I independent, Division I mid-major, and then the Big Ten high major. So, you kind of have to, adapt to everything you're going, everywhere you go. But again, some of the recipe is the recipe, right? How you put that team together, how you're going to coach them every day. It's how you change the ingredients. But somebody said, who's your mentor? And I was thinking, I said, losing. Losing is my mentor.
Yes. It's a great mentor.
Yeah. You don't see much and you don't want it to hang around long, and you go to work. And it's one of those things that I always felt like I took losing personally.
Yes.
So, I'm not joking. We lose 3 in a row, and I would not go into a restaurant. I'd go through every drive-in or drive-through. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't care what it was. I was like, I'll take a hamburger and fries. Number 2, I go to church, and you can put your head down, and just get to your spot. And it was just, it really, you felt like you were letting people down.
Sure. I have the same feelings. I did quite a bit of losing early in my career. It's a part of it, There are a lot of good coaches out there. There are a lot of going on the road in Big Ten. Any league, Tim, is hard. You know that, but it's difficult. But that's part of coaching, and to get back on the practice floor the next day and bring them back and continue to fight and find a way to win that next one. There's some tough stretches in this league. There's some tough stretches in the Big Ten. Go to Syracuse on Saturday. We turn around next Wednesday, go to Notre Dame. Good luck. Nothing easy, but that's what we signed up for. And
well, Duke and Carolina are way down. They're out of the national rankings now. They're out of the national ranking with 10 McDonald's All-Americans sitting there. Good
luck playing them. Good luck playing them. I played Duke last week. We were fortunate enough to win. We have North Carolina sometime in February. Just so strange, Tim, with the virus, and we missed our UVA game at UVA a couple weeks ago. Where the buses are downstairs. We are literally walking up to pick up a couple of things and head to the bus, and got a call that they've got an issue. I'm driving into work yesterday morning, 8:30, Tuesday, thinking about Boston College and Jim's offense and what we're.
Yeah, he runs a good offense.
He runs great stuff. Jim Christian's a terrific coach.
Yeah,
and get a call. They've had a positive test, and they're doing a contact tracing. Did you ever hear contact tracing?
No.
That word, did that term ever? You hear that ever in your life?
Nope.
Before COVID, and the contact tracing came back, and Jim called and said, "Mike, I don't have a post player." I said, "We can't play." So we turn our attention to Syracuse and get ready for that one, and hope we can play. Hope we can play. We'll test again tomorrow morning. And before we get on the plane to head to Syracuse, New York, they say it's lovely this time of year, by the way, Tim. Before we head to Syracuse, we'll get those results back, and hope, fingers crossed that we're okay, where everybody's healthy.
Well, don't worry, Niagara Falls is frozen, so it'll be nice. So okay. Just lastly, Coach, right? I don't want to take too much of your time. You've been so generous. I appreciate it. So you could see you had a vision at Wofford. You had these tough, Cam Rundles, Noah Dahlman.
Oh,
you beat me at Noah Dahlman. I tried to recruit him and you did a great job just ugh, and Cam Rundles. So these are just guys from way back, but your idea that you're going to have a certain level of toughness and then the skill we've talked about, pass it, catch it, handle it, shoot it. Okay. So you knew you could build a mid-major, a team that could be, I don't want to say dominant in the Southern, but that could be right at the top.
Yeah.
And that's the way you were your last X amount of years. I looked, but I didn't write it down. So that was your vision. There's no doubt. Am I way off base here on that?
Spot on.
So now we're going to have a similar vision. Where do you want to take Virginia Tech?
I don't think there's any reason why we can't have, the same goals and aspirations. Again, we've talked about it a couple of times now in our conversation. All these leagues are hard.
Yeah.
And this might be the most difficult. The Big Ten certainly this year is just, that league's nuts.
Yeah, you're splitting hairs on this stuff, right? The basic thing is how teams you don't want 12, 13, and 14 to be awful. When they're pretty good, that was the one thing. I got 12th 3 times, and we beat the conference champ, I think 2 of those 3 years or whatever, and you're like, and we'd have an injury or whatever it might be. And that was the reason we were probably 12th, because I didn't have enough depth or whatever it was. But those leagues are so hard. But you could be a 7th or 8th place team at Virginia Tech in the ACC. You can still be in the Sweet 16 or the Final Four, Coach.
No question. People talk about pressure getting to the NCAA tournament. There certainly is pressure to get to the NCAA tournament. There's pressure to get to the tournament at Wofford now when you got to go to Asheville and play 3 games. And if you don't win it, okay, you're out. One bid league. Now that's pressure. You've had a great year. We went 18-0 my last year, 2018-19. And now they said we were in had we lost in the finals, but it's a different experience now being here.
That's the only way you get 2 teams in is the 18-0 team gets upset.
True. That's exactly right. So I'm in a great place. We've got great resources, terrific league. To put ourselves in position to get to that great tournament year in, year out is the goal. We're off to a good start. I like our team. We do have a great level of toughness, and we got some size, and we'll nick you up on the offensive glass. We do have a number of kids that can shoot the ball. We're not going to beat ourselves. So our fingers are crossed. We say a little word each night that we can remain healthy and keep moving forward.
No doubt. Stay healthy, Coach. Keep moving forward. Thanks for coming on Inside the Mind of Miles. It's been just awesome to chat it up, especially with, I hope there are some coaches out there. There's probably a strong 1/3 or so that know what we're talking about when we talk deck to deck and driving 6 hours and stuff like that. But there's a lot of guys that don't. But I think that time when you're on the road, sometimes you have people with you, sometimes you don't. Didn't have a cell phone. No. But you had a chance to, so much time to think. It always went back to your team. It always went back to recruiting. It always went back to whatever it might be. And I think that those are the things that allowed you to, put that recipe together and believe in it and stick through it through thick and thin, because your start wasn't easy at Wofford, and you stuck with it and saw huge returns. Right. And now you're doing the same thing and able to continue Virginia Tech. Buzz Williams did a nice job, and there's been excellent coaches. Job. Our guy Seth Greenberg was there for years.
Yeah, great
on the bubble coach. More than anybody. He lived on that bubble, and you could feel his pain that way. But boy, you've had some really good people that you're following, and I know you're going to take that thing to an even higher level. So, and the reason you are is because you've been inside the mind of Miles, and so I just want you to know that when you've been there, now sky's the limit. Sky's the limit for you, Coach.
I've been inside the mind of Miles many times in my career, but to do it at this platform today is a real thrill for me.
Yeah, we can't share the other ones, but that's okay.
Hey, good to be on with you. Appreciate you having me on. I wish your family well, pal.
Thank you. You too, and good luck. Go Hokies, man.
Thanks, buddy. See ya.
Thanks. Folks, welcome back. I'm with Coach Eaton, Gregory Eaton. How are you, Coach Eaton?
I'm good, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well. That was a fun interview with Mike Young, wasn't it?
Well, he was really good. I had really never heard him, talk before, but man, he's got some energy and he's got some stories.
Oh yeah, and he's got the best. Geez, we're lucky, and we just barely, and I don't know how we did it. And I mean, you talk about a guy laying in the weeds, man. He's the number one guy. Like, you start listening to him. You, like, one year I remember talking to him, and I thought, they must be awful, and they're like 14-3 in their league. And you would think it was 3-14 in their league. It's just, but that's Coach Young. He's awesome to listen to. You can see why he's such a successful coach and recruiter.
I loved how he talked about his daily vitamins, about, just like the small things, and how he talked about the comparisons of skill from one level to the next.
Yep.
And you've been at all those levels.
Yeah. And he's right. The bodies really change, but the recipe doesn't. And it's funny when he said, we got to take our daily vitamins and stop and turn every day, the old pivoting drills and things like that. And he's right. There's no doubt about it. And I'm really going to be interested to see how he fares going forward in the ACC at Virginia Tech. Because I think he's just one of those guys that has got a way about him that's always going to be successful.
And the other thing I really liked about it, and you talked about it with him, was coaching through adversity, having gone through some loss, and, his father this past year. I just think that's something that a lot of people don't really see from coaches.
Yeah. I mean, you have your personal life too. And, it's always interesting when you look at things and you say, hey, what's wrong? And we remember Tim Wilson, our old strength guy, used to say, never underestimate how screwed up the other locker room is. And, you never know, but that every, young people have problems. Coaches, go through stressful times and adverse times. And that was really fascinating to listen to Mike's story. And of course I added to it. And I always, it's hard for me because I'm trying, like, as the host, I'm not trying to be a one-upper and tell a story. I'm just trying to add and connect. And I always feel like sometimes when I add on to somebody's story, I'm like, it's their story, but just trying to relate. And the one thing that, you could see visibly just talking to him via Zoom that bothered him was, his losing his dad. And it reminds me of when, I lost my mom and almost lost my dad during the season, almost lost my dad. And it really is hard. And the feeling I had during that Illinois game that we had in 2013 or whatever it was, I'd never want to go back there again.
Well, and then you had the joy of having him at that Iowa game. I remember seeing that picture up in your office.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Little tip smile right in the corner.
I'm gonna have to dust that one off and find it for our fans listening. And so what do we got? What are we wearing on top of that cranium you've got there? What do we got?
This is Rehoboth, my hometown in Massachusetts, little farm town. Interesting note for you: it is the only town in the state of Massachusetts that you don't need a permit to farm or own farm animals.
You can just own them. You can just farm.
It's a right to farm community. That's what it says when you drive into town. A right to farm community. I can't make it up.
So if you want to make your front lawn sweet corn or beans, have it.
Half a mile down the road from where I grew up, alpaca farm. Not even I can't even make it up. They own 20 to 25 alpacas right there. Take the school bus and you could actually stick your hand out the window and touch the alpacas.
Kids are probably giving them Skittles and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and she's yelling, "Get your hands in the window!"
Yeah, oh yeah. No, that's classic. That is classic. I love it. And of course, we got a Disney shirt there. Is that what we've got?
Yes, I do. Yep. In preparation for our Disney trip coming in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Are you going?
Yep, in the beginning of March. So.
Oh, by the way, there she is. Sammy Cam.
Cam.
Yeah, she's Ava's in the other room, so she's splitting us in half. So I signed up for the vaccine this week.
Ooh.
Yeah. So how about this? When I was coaching, my blood pressure was like 112 over 67. And now that I've quit coaching, it's like 170 over 99. It's went way up since I quit. Apparently I love misery and it makes me comfortable and healthy. So, it says, what health conditions do you have? So I checked high blood pressure, which is kind of a minimal. I tried to say, I tried to look for I eat a lot of red meat, but that wasn't in there. I was trying to move my way up the list, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pull that off. So if I'm able to ever get the vaccine, I'll let you know how it goes, but I would feel better traveling with the vaccine. I'm not sure about you. How about you?
Yeah, I think I would too. There's a lot of positives to it, and I think it's going to be a game changer. And obviously, who knows how the new administration is going to implement the improvement in terms of getting it to everybody. But everybody keeps saying we're going to have 100 million by June 1.
They're going to run out of paper with these executive orders old Joe Biden was doing last week. Holy cow. Big books of them too. Like you got the big book in there. So, Coach, it's been a fantastic basketball season. There's always COVID issues. There's all these things, but I think the most interesting thing that we've talked about is just that some of the blue bloods aren't where they have been recently. What do you think about that? If we look at bracketology, let's say, and we look at, because we're getting to that point where we're working on February here, I think we can start talking about that a little bit. Don't you?
I agree. And just a short little story. So I was a manager at Louisville, as you know.
Yeah, I do know that.
My sophomore year, we played in the Birmingham in the first 2 rounds, and Lenardi was there. And I remember I did my own bracketology. I had my own formula and everything.
I believe this. Yes.
So we ran into
him. Did you tell him how wrong he was then? Did you say like?
I didn't even have to say it. The other managers and some of the players did. They said, hey, our guy who just does this for the love of it only missed 2 teams and you missed 5. Come
on, Joe.
And Joe said, you know what? Shut up. And just walked away.
He's got a little Italian in him there, so he's going to stick up for himself.
Yeah. But like you said, a lot of the blue bloods are, kind of borderline. And I was actually going to ask you today, a little buy or sell segment on teams.
All right. Who we got? What do we got? First 4 in, last 4 in, next 4 out. What do we got?
Well, a combination of all of them. So I'm, let's say you have.
And you're going off Lenardi right now, correct?
I'm going off Lenardi right now. So I want to know what you're taking for your last 4 buys. So I'm gonna say a couple.
Give me some options here.
I'm gonna give you some options. Yeah. So we've got Florida, Michigan State, BYU, Stanford, San Diego State, Oklahoma, and Richmond. So we'll go one at a time for you. You're buying or selling as a buy.
So I'm buying Florida.
Buying Florida.
Yep.
About Michigan State.
Can you imagine them not being in? It's like you're right now. It's like you're the salesman that will not let me walk out of the clothing area, without just trying on one more shirt. It's like, oh no, look at these pants. And then, oh, look so I got to buy it. It's like you're forcing it on me. And the only way I can get rid of it is to buy it.
Okay. What about Duke?
Oh God. Then I only got one left.
I know, right?
Florida's going to get in. Here's what I say. Michigan State's going to be in the first 4. They're not getting a bye. Duke will get the bye. No, Big Ten's too strong. Nope, I'm sticking with it.
I'm sticking with it?
Yep.
Going with the gut. So Duke's got a bye. Florida's got a bye.
That's 2.
What about Dutch, San Diego State?
Nope.
What do you think? They're out. Just get them out. They're not making it.
I think it'll be hard for them, but they do have a couple good wins early. But they just haven't looked as sharp. And Matt Mitchell's out for a while.
They're lacking a playmaker right now. They're just not able to create.
Malachi Flynn, dropping one to CSU and then getting swept by Utah State. I think, I got them. I don't have them there. Yeah.
Oklahoma out. BYU
Yeah. In. Yeah.
In or first 4 in?
No, they're in.
They're in. What about Richmond?
So that's my sleeper. That's why I was holding out for one spot for Richmond, because they're going to pick a little guy, and that's the little guy, the A10. I mean, I'm sorry, not the West Coast, but because they might win the A10 tournament too, and so I'm picking them for a bye.
Okay, and I'll ask you. I'll add one more team for you. You just said the Big Ten so strong. What about Maryland?
Nope, not making it.
Not making it.
I just don't think they. I don't see the scoring. I mean, a lot of things have to go right for Maryland to win a big game, and they've won some now. Like they can, because they're so strong defensively, so athletic, but I just don't know if they can put enough of them together. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Leaving a couple blue bloods out. I like it.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Kentucky, Duke, Michigan State, North Carolina could conceivably not make any one of those 4 teams not make the NCAA tournament?
I mean, I think it's a possibility. I'm after
if you picked one, who would it be?
On who would or would not make it?
Would not make it.
I mean, I don't think the SEC is as strong as they have been. I mean, I think Kentucky would be the one that wouldn't make it. And then I honestly think Duke would be the next one. Last week, I mean, Capel, first former player beating Krzyzewski. I mean, that's a good storyline for him.
Pitt's pretty good. Champagne and Xavier Johnson, of course, we had actually signed at one point, committed to us and signed, and then left in the spring, or decommitted in the spring. Really a good guard,
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's good. How about Pitt? Even their transfers are good. Marcus Carr left Pitt. I mean, he's like they just haven't been able to keep it together, but they're going to make it. I think they're tough.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with you on Kentucky. I think that that Georgia, last week, I think Georgia beat them on the last second play. Those are, Georgia was bottom 3 in the league or whatever at that time. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, Coach, I tell you what, this is why they pay us the big bucks, to figure this stuff out. And
come talk to us. That's what needs to happen next.
Well, exactly. And I'll have Lenardi get you on the phone, and so you can square him away again. And but ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on another just phenomenal week of podcasting. We really enjoy you sharing your time with us. Be sure to rate, subscribe, review us with 5-star only reviews, please. That's what we request. Nothing else. And as we go forward, though, we hope you enjoy the podcast. And, hey, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram or Twitter and suggest other guests. I believe Mike Boynton is going to be with us here in the next couple of weeks, and some other guys that we're looking at. So I'm excited to have some of these guys going. But Mike Young was certainly a fascinating guest, and I could have him on every week. And I think the story would change every week. So thanks for joining us, Coach E. Thanks for your time and your expertise with your bracketology. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, see you later from inside the Mind of Miles.